Now, in the last 2 weeks, Trump gave another $8.6 billion, totally unaccounted. Where's that $8.6 billion coming from? Did anybody ever vote for that $8.6 billion? And then unabated, he gave another $3.3 billion. Where is this money coming from? Is anybody voting on this? What is going on?
Well, it's debt. These are IOUs to countries that are buying our treasuries.
Exactly.
Welcome back, folks, and buckle up. We've got a clip here today that's going to make your jaw drop, your blood boil, and maybe, just maybe, make you question everything you thought you knew about American politics. Today we're listening to Tucker Carlson and Jank, together at last, diving into the deep end of who's really pulling the strings in Washington. And let me tell you, it's not always who you think it is. Get ready to have some scarecrows tipped, because this conversation isn't just spicy, it's a 5-alarm chili fire. And you know what? Let's roll the tape and we'll jump in with some real talk.
All right, so that was Jank. And Jank, you just sat down with Tucker Carlson for nearly a 2.5-hour interview, which is very impressive, and kudos to you for getting through that. Let's give you, what are your 2 cents before we get to some of the clips?
Yeah, so what I want people to look out for in this interview, and we're gonna show you some of the clips right now, is, one is the issue of American sovereignty in Israel and what we're doing with it. The other is that the whole idea of red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat, is a mirage, is an illusion to get us to fight each other so we don't focus on the powerful people in this country who actually rule us. So I want you to pay attention to all that. And at the end, we're gonna show you, we're gonna share with you guys an analogy that I did that Tucker really loved. It's a little bit controversial, but you'll see that at the end.
Yeah, it is a fun analogy, I will say. But before we get to your analogy, here is a clip of you, Jank, calling out Trump's deference to his pro-Israel donors.
One of the things they wanted was taxes and other interests and defeat the unions and their casinos and all the things, their wish list. But the main thing they wanted was for Israel. And Trump says it all the time. He doesn't hide it at all. He said it
in the Knesset.
Yeah, he said, look, you guys give me money, and Sheldon wanted me to move our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, so I moved it for him. Like, you're not supposed to say that, okay?
That's what I love about Trump. I love him when he just says it.
Hold on. Wait, whoa. I love him when he just says it? Look, I get it. The man doesn't mince words. And in a political landscape filled with weasel-worded bureaucrats, that can be refreshing. But let's be crystal clear here. Saying it doesn't make it right. It just confirms what many of us have suspected all along. This isn't some backroom whisper. It's an open declaration that foreign policy, American policy, is bought and paid for. Moving an embassy, a significant geopolitical act because a donor wanted it? That's not leadership, folks. That's a transaction. It's like your kid selling their homework for candy. Except the candy here is billions of our tax dollars, and the homework is our national interest. When did America first start meaning whoever pays the most for your campaign first? This isn't about being pro-Israel or anti-Israel. It's about being pro-America. And any politician, regardless of party, who openly admits that their decisions are swayed by donor cash, especially when it involves another nation, is telling you exactly who they work for. And spoiler alert, it ain't you. It's a slap in the face to every single American taxpayer who believes their vote, their voice, should matter more than a billionaire's checkbook.
Yeah, so he's like, and then so they wanted this, and I gave him the Golan Heights. I said, go ahead, take it, right? And whatever Israel asked, he said, Sheldon came in here in my first term more than any other person. And he said, to be fair, he gave the most. Right? So if you give that much money, you get access and you get American policy. So now Miriam's up there going, maybe you should run for a third term and I'll give him $250 million. She said that on air next to Trump. So that is them rubbing it in our face.
All right, well then Jank and Tucker Carlson were also critical of Trump's strikes on Iran and Venezuela. So let's take a look at that.
I was having lunch with Trump and he's like, oh, come to the oil meeting. And like, I don't, it's not my world. So I was like, okay. So I go up there and all these heads of the big oil companies, including Exxon, they didn't seem too enthusiastic about it, but we'll see. And I just happened to be sitting in the room totally by accident. I mean, literally by accident, because he's asked me to come. And he's telling him, he's like, no. This is for our country and you'll get a cut that I will decide. I can just tell you what I saw.
So that's not how it should work, right? Because when you say to a different country, we're going to come and we're going to take your natural resources and we're just going to take a certain amount for us, period. Sad day for you. What'll happen is an insurgency. When you go and you attack other countries, our military is amazing. Best in the world, best that's ever been created, right?
Yep.
So that was an amazing mission that they did in Venezuela and an amazing one they did in Iran. But you do 3 or 4 of those and you're going to get burned because it's just a matter of chances.
I think that's right.
And in case you're wondering why Jank went on the Tucker Carlson show, and I'm sure many of you are wondering exactly that, here's your answer. He tells you.
I also want to break down the barriers of Republicans versus Democrats, right wing versus left wing. I think that it's kind of used to divide us. And I think that the powerful already have an incredible elite team. They're very, very organized and they do it through donations to the politicians, et cetera.
Yes.
But the American people are not organized. We have built 2 teams, but those 2 teams, the Republicans and the Democrats, have been trained to fight each other instead of fighting up, right?
Exactly.
And so when you split the population that way, you take away all of their energy because you have them use their energy against one another rather than against you. It's actually brilliant.
That's how the British ruled India.
Bingo. He just hit the nail right on the head with a sledgehammer. Divide and conquer isn't just a dusty old historical strategy. It's the playbook for modern American politics. We're so busy duking it out over pronouns and culture wars that we completely miss the fact that both teams are often playing for the same owners, the globalists, the corporatists, the donors. Think about it like this. You're at a sporting event, right? The crowd is roaring, passionately screaming at the other team, completely invested in the rivalry. Meanwhile, up in the luxury boxes, the owners of both teams are sipping on champagne, laughing all the way to the bank because they profit no matter which side wins the game. That's us, folks. We're the passionate, distracted crowd. They want us fighting over minor disagreements, over manufactured outrage, because as long as we're pointing fingers at each other, we're not pointing at them, who are the real puppet masters. It's a cynical, brilliant strategy to keep us from realizing that on core issues like ending endless wars and securing a border and getting our economy back on track, most Americans nowadays are actually on the same page. It's not left versus right. It's not us versus them. And them, unfortunately, are the ones pulling the strings from above.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
And it's done on a meta level in every way. Also, by the way, on a global level, Christians versus Muslims. 2 billion here, 2 billion there. Make sure you guys are fighting one another. And hey, look at that. We've used up all your energy fighting one another and not looking up.
I've noticed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great last point that you made there, Jank. A lot of great points. And I encourage everyone to check out the rest of the interview. Again, nearly 2.5 hours long. So, make some tea and buckle in for a little bit. But yeah, no, I agree. I think you do get a lot of flack sometimes, Jank, whenever you go on these other programs, more right-leaning programs. But one of the things that we always complain about here on networks like this one is that we are often just preaching to the choir, and wouldn't it be great if we could get our message out to the greater populace? And this is one of the ways that we can do exactly that. So what's your feedback on your chat with Tucker?
Yeah, so there's 2 different groups of people that'll attack us. It's not that important. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but one has already happened. The Laura Loomer attacked the interview. How dare they? They should bow their heads to Israel. And Tucker Carlson's betraying the president by telling the story about Venezuela that we just showed you. And Tucker's betraying everyone by talking to someone on the left. Please stay divided. Israel wants you to stay divided, so it's much easier to conquer you. So that's totally to be expected. My guess is later some on the left, small group will find like 13 seconds here or 5 seconds there and try to make a big deal out of it. Although I don't know which 13 seconds they're gonna find. Because what I want you to do is watch the whole thing and make up your own mind. Don't listen to the Laura Loomers of the right or the left. And so we'll put the link in the description box. But guys, in terms of what was the content of it. If you're not going to watch it, I'll summarize it for you. It was anti-war, don't fund Israel, and get money out of politics. Oh, right, all three of those are issues that we on the left have been pushing for the last 20 years. So we can get back into the old debates of should we take yes for an answer? And it is, to me, it's always remarkable that a significant percentage of the left, or a small percentage, I don't know what the percentage is, of the left says, no, don't take yes for an answer. No, if someone agrees with your position, you should hate them for it. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all, okay? But that's okay, that's for another day. But what is much more important, Yaz, is the reaction so far that it's been getting about, just about almost everyone outside of the real extremes is like, yeah, that. Get money out of politics, stop the wars, represent America and not a different country. These are not controversial positions. The only reason why we don't realize that 90% of the country agrees on these things is because the media creates that illusion of, oh, you have to hate each other. You have to fight. And yes, you disagree on some things, and those are the only things you should focus on. Do not ever focus on the things you agree on, because that is where the American people are directly opposed to the elites who run this country.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I think is interesting about what's happening right now in this country is we're getting so much footage of things that are happening, not just in, between Israel and Gaza, but also right here in our own country. We're seeing things for ourselves as they're playing out in these places. And then we're hearing the narrative that's coming from the administration, and it's directly contradicting that. So what's uniquely happening now, which something that hasn't happened to this extent, I think, in the last 10 years, is that people they really are starting to kind of be like, this doesn't make sense to me anymore, right? And what is happening is we're getting people on the right actually start to come around, not to the Democrats, not to the liberals, but to our side of that left side, right? They're becoming more aware of democratic socialists and leftists in general, and not just they're aware of us and, we're terrible and we're like the worst people in America or whatever. They're actually listening to the things that we are saying and have been saying for a really long time, and realizing that if you want to talk about America first, we have been talking about this country for a long time, not just the country as an entity, but its people for a long time. That's our whole platform, right? That's why we are leftists, because we want to help the people of this country. And we don't want to be mean to people from other countries either. And so what's happening now, and I've seen it specifically, when I say recently, I mean like within the last week or so, there has been, I think, a notable shift in people being a little bit more open-minded to messages from people like you. So, you going on Tucker Carlson right now, I think was really great timing.
Yeah, and so look, it's in the zeitgeist. So I interviewed Dan Osborne, the independent running for the Senate seat in Nebraska, just yesterday on the Revolution. We do Young Turks every day, 6 to 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube, and everywhere else, almost every platform. And then at 8 o'clock, I do this Revolution where I try to bring the country together to crowdsource a revolution to get our government back, and of course a peaceful, nonviolent one. And Osborne was basically the same thing. Saying the same thing we're all saying, which is, yeah, this is all distractions. No one's actually looking out for the average American. And when he talks to real people in Nebraska, a lot of them are right wing, some are left wing, and he's saying that I said, look, I think that we might even agree on 70% of the issues if we could just get past the media and their illusions, which is going to lead to the analogy I used at the end there. But he said, no, I don't think it's 70%. Based on my experience campaigning all over Nebraska, I think we actually agree on 90% of the issues. And so, yes, there's the spectacular ones we disagree on, but nobody that's a real person wants money in politics. Nobody wants corruption. Nobody wants higher drug prices that we can't negotiate. Nobody wants higher housing prices, lower wages. They have to divide you. Otherwise, you would be up in arms. You would be so angry at what the elites are doing to you and what the donor class is doing to you. That's why they've got to divide you. And the fact that we're all looking to get past that is great. And look, I mean, in the old days, if I went to talk to Tucker Carlson when he was on Fox News, or I talked to another prominent right-winger 2 years ago, I wouldn't have gotten any of this reaction. We would have had a huge fight. They would have defended Trump 24/7, the entire Republican Party. I mean, I told a story about how Jonathan Pollard, the biggest traitor to America, stole our secrets, gave them to Israel. Obama basically starts the pardon process for him, lets him out. Trump then says he can leave the country, which is another outrage, and can go to Israel. He gets flown to Israel on Miriam and Sheldon Adelson's private jet.
Whoa, hold up. This right here, this is the earthquake that we need. For years, daring to even question the influence of foreign nations on American policy, especially regarding Israel, was political suicide on the right. You'd be branded an anti-Semite or a conspiracy theorist. But now the largest right-wing platform in the country is not just allowing the conversation. Its audience is agreeing that foreign policy and foreign influence is real, and it's impacting our leaders, including Trump. This isn't about hate. It's about sovereignty. It's about asking why American interests sometimes seem to take a backseat to those of another nation. It's about recognizing that America First isn't just a slogan. It's a demand that our leaders prioritize our citizens, our economy, and our security above all else, without compromise to any foreign power or their well-funded lobbyists. This shift isn't just enormous, it's revolutionary. It means that the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is still to cut through the noise. It means more Americans are waking up to the fact that loyalty to our homeland should always, without exception, come first. And if that means calling out our own politicians for being compromised, then so be it. That's not division. That's clarity. And you know what? It's long overdue.
Why did they have a traitor celebrated in that way? And that's the same people that are Trump's top donors. I got to say that on Tucker Carlson's show. And if you look at the comments, and some of you have written in about that, some of our members, the comments overwhelmingly agree. So we now have the largest right-wing show and its supporters going, you guys are right about Israel, including controlling Trump. That is enormous. That's amazing. So I hope we can take this opportunity to unite on those critical issues.
All right, folks, that clip was a wild ride, wasn't it? From exposing how policies are bought to the brilliant strategy of divide and conquer. And finally, the huge shift in how many of the right are viewing foreign influence. This isn't just talk. This is a wake-up call. So tell me, if you're tired of being played, if you're ready to demand real American leadership that puts us first, then smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Let's keep this conversation going and unite to take our country back. Your voice matters. Don't let them tell you otherwise. We'll see you next time. And remember, stay vigilant, patriots. Stay vigilant.